This is exactly what we all wanted. He gave the people what they asked for. Right move.
That was singer and actress Holly Valance reacting to the news that Nigel Farage will lead the Reform Party as a candidate in the upcoming general election. The Neighbours star was beaming as she declared that Mr Farage has made the right move, and she revealed she would be willing to campaign for the Reform Party if she's asked.
Will you campaign for Nigel Farage at the election?
Ooh, if he asked me, probably.
You'll knock on the doors?
Does anyone want to see me knocking on their door anymore? Maybe 20 years ago.
Holly Valance went on to say that young people are starting to wake up and see that Nigel Farage loves the UK. On Monday, Mr Farage took over from Richard Tice as Reform leader just days after announcing that he wouldn't be standing.
So I am going to stand in this election. I'll be launching my candidacy at midday tomorrow in the Essex seaside town of Clacton.
Well, joining me now is Dr Michael Turner. He's a pollster and political strategist. He's here in the studio. Mike, Nigel Farage was urged to do this. I think a lot of people in the UK thought, he was going to do it a couple of months ago. He's like, I'm surprised that, Rishi Sunak has called the election for early July. But did that change the timing for him, or was this always going to be the way he announced it?
Yeah, there was a hesitation, wasn't there? I mean, I think it's
a pretend one, perhaps.
Perhaps, and I certainly think that he has made the most of it. I mean, he would argue that the initial announcement set him back, and the polling now with the Conservatives going backwards, not forwards, most of the time.
But they've been going backwards for months.
They have, but normally when you call an election, you expect it to tighten a little bit. People ultimately make their decision and kind of go, no, I don't want a Conservative government, I don't want a Labour government, and the choice is focused. It's a bit unusual that the polling is showing the Conservatives going down further. I mean, our latest polling had them at a record low, the lowest since the Second World War, and now the YouGov poll that's come out recently has shown them getting even lower. So there is an element of smelling blood here, I think, but also at the same time, Nigel is a formidable campaigner, so we take what he says with a pinch of salt.
He is. He's got the Trump playbook. Fact-checking some of his arguments is useless because he hits all the right notes with those voters who are really frustrated with the current crop of politicians. So he is running in a winnable seat. It looks like Reform UK can win a couple of seats, not a big opposition, but they can certainly ruffle some feathers. So what are the single issues that they'll run on?
Yeah, I definitely believe that Clacton itself is a seat that Nigel can win. It's the former seat of Douglas Carswell, who stood in a by-election, stood down from the Conservatives, and then won that seat for UKIP, and then won it again with an even bigger majority in 2015. I think that the Reform Party will run on cultural issues. They'll run on immigration. They'll run on gender identity, social issues. They'll want to keep it focused on being anti-establishment, anti-Westminster, and I'm not expecting a particularly thick manifesto from Reform at this election.
A particularly thick manifesto, no, because that would just mean he ties himself in knots. I mean, Nigel Farage, watching him there dance across the stage, watching him interview Donald Trump, he's got the charisma, and I think that's what people want. They're sick of this kind of, they want an air of authenticity, don't they? And they now expect leaders to make mistakes. But what would the UK Parliament be like with Farage in it?
Yeah, well, it would certainly be more entertaining, let's say. If it's anything like his time in the European Parliament, which he spent a lot of time there, it will be loud, it will be brash, and it will be direct. And Nigel is someone who doesn't shirk away from saying things which are controversial, as we all know. But he's also someone who ultimately likes to take issues on directly. He's effectively used the European Parliament as a campaigning chamber, and I believe that the UK Parliament will be much the same.
Lois Perry has told Sky News that immigration is a key issue.
I mean, the most recent polling showed that basically the Tories could end up with 60 seats. So it's a complete annihilation of the Conservative Party. And there is a desire and a passion to have a party that represents normal people, that isn't woke, that puts Britain first, that it talks about immigration without being accused of being racist. The Conservative Party, people feel spectacularly let let down by them. So yeah, I think Nigel listened to people. People were very disappointed when he said he wasn't going to run and he wasn't going to be the leader. And he said that he felt like he was letting people down, so he decided to do it. But we all thought that the election was going to be in the autumn. So Rishi Sunak took everyone by surprise, including most of his MPs as well. No, they didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, that's right. But it's usually the prerogative of a Prime Minister. At least that's how it works here in Australia.
Yeah.
Usually it is a surprise. And after 5 years, I think British people look pretty desperate for a change at the top there. But what are the issues that Nigel Farage is going to run and you think win on?
I think obviously he said this is the immigration election, and we've got a big problem in England at the moment with small boats, so people coming over, crossing the channel, illegally coming in, and no one knows who they are. They throw their passports in the sea. There's lots of criminal gangs that are coming over as well, and people are really, really angry about it. Now, I understand that your Premier actually, in Australia, actually sent the boats back. You actually sorted out your problem, but we're actually helping them come over. And nobody believes that the government, the Tory government, or the new Labour government that's going to be coming in, unfortunately,
well, we did.
will do anything about it.
The Rwanda solution was kind of modelled off what a previously Conservative government did here, but it hasn't seemed to have gone down all that well in the UK.
No one believes that it's going to happen. I think 2 people were put on flights and they came back again or something. It's seen as almost a joke that nobody believes that any of these people are going to be sent to Rwanda.
It was treated as a joke here too until it worked.
Well, you actually implemented it. No one's got any intention of implementing it.
Yeah.
Rishi Sunak is not going to be the Prime Minister soon, and the Labour Party have said that they're going to reverse it anyway. So it's not going to be happening here.
Well, it's going to be a pretty crazy summer there for politics in the UK. I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you soon.